The firework exploded too close, and the screaming began. At first, I thought it was all part of the celebration, until the sharp, searing pain in my stomach told me otherwise. Welcome to another episode of Tales by Aini, and today I will be sharing a story of how I almost lost my life having Detty December in Lagos. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you will be notified when a new video is dropped. Christmas in Lagos was supposed to be magical, bright lights, loud music, crowded markets, and parties that didn't stop until the sun came up. I imagined it would be the perfect escape after a draining year. Instead, it became the most terrifying, life-altering December I'd ever experienced. It started innocently enough, laughter, romance, and the kind of chaos that Lagos is famous for. But by the time it ended, I was lying in a hospital bed, fighting to understand how everything had gone so horribly wrong. It all started on December 23rd. I had attended my friend Kim's rooftop party in Lekki. It was packed as usual, a blend of Lagos elites and regular folks looking for a good time. I wasn't even planning to go until she practically dragged me out of my apartment, insisting that I needed to dirty my December properly. The rooftop shimmered with fairy lights, and Afrobeats filled the air. It was the kind of setting where magic could happen, or so I thought. That's where I met Basi. Tall, with dark skin and a calm demeanor that contrasted the rowdy crowd around him, Basi wasn't the type to seek attention. But there was something about him, a quiet confidence that made him stand out. Kim nudged me toward him with a mischievous grin, and before I knew it, we were talking like old friends. Basi had a way of making you feel seen, like you were the only person in the room. We joked about Lagos traffic, shared embarrassing Christmas stories, and laughed until my cheeks hurt. For the first time in months, I felt free, like I could actually enjoy myself without overthinking. Basi invited me to Balegan Market the next day, claiming it was his favorite Lagos Christmas tradition. It's chaos, he warned, but it's the good kind. He wasn't lying. The market was alive with activity, vendors shouting over one another, crowds pushing and pulling in every direction, the air thick with the smell of fried puff-puff and roasted meat. We bought Christmas hats, toys for his nieces, and even matching Ankara fabric that Basi insisted we should wear to a street carnival on Christmas Day. For hours, everything felt perfect. But then, as we turned a corner, we ran into her. Busy. She was stunning in a fitted red dress, her braids falling perfectly over her shoulders. But it wasn't her beauty that struck me, it was the way Basi froze the moment he saw her. Basi, she said, her voice sweet but sharp. Long time no see. Basi's jaw tightened. Busy. Her gaze shifted to me, and a slow, calculating smile spread across her face. And who's this? Ada, Basi said quickly. A friend. Her laugh was light, almost mocking. A friend. Interesting. She turned back to Basi, her tone dropping. I hope you've been well. You've been missed. She walked away before I could process the strange tension between them, but her presence left a chill in the air. Basi didn't say much after that, and for the first time, I felt something shift. That evening, Basi took me to a quiet spot by the lagoon. The city lights reflected on the water, and the faint sound of music drifted in from a nearby party. I owe you the truth, he said, his voice heavy. He told me everything. 3 years ago, Basi had been married to Busy. It wasn't a love match but an arranged marriage between their families. Busy came from a powerful and wealthy family, and the union was supposed to solidify a business deal. But things fell apart quickly. Busy was controlling and possessive, refusing to let Bassie have a life outside of her. When he tried to leave, she became vindictive. "I walked away with nothing," Bassie said, his voice breaking. But Busy doesn't let go. "She's been following me, threatening me, and trying to pull me back into her web. And now that she's seen you." His words trailed off, but I understood the implication. I was in danger simply for being close to him. I went to bed that night thinking about how amazing Bassie was and all the fun moments together. The following day, Christmas Day, started with joy. Bassie and I attended a street carnival in Suraleh, laughing and dancing under the twinkling lights. Children ran around with sparklers, and the air was alive with the smell of suya and roasted corn. For a moment, I let myself believe that Busy was just a ghost from Bassie's past. But then, as the first fireworks exploded in the sky, I saw her. Busy stood at the edge of the crowd, her red dress unmistakable even in the dim light. She was watching us, her face expressionless but her eyes burning with something dark. "Bassie," I whispered, tugging at his arm. "She's here." Before he could respond, the chaos began. At first, I thought the loud bang was part of the fireworks. But then I felt it, a sharp, burning pain in my stomach that knocked the air out of me. I looked down and saw the blood spreading across my white dress. The world spun, and I collapsed, Bassie catching me before I hit the ground. "Ada," he screamed, his voice filled with panic. The crowd erupted in chaos, people screaming and running in every direction. I saw Busy's figure retreating into the shadows, her face calm as if she hadn't just shot me. The pain was overwhelming, but the fear in Bassie's eyes was worse. I spent the rest of December in a hospital bed. The bullet hadn't hit anything vital, but the recovery was slow and painful. Bassie never left my side, his guilt palpable. "I should have protected you," he said one night, his voice barely audible. "This isn't your fault," I replied, though part of me wondered if being with Bassie had put a target on my back. Kim visited often, her usually cheerful demeanor replaced with worry. She tried to lighten the mood with stories and jokes, but the weight of what had happened lingered. Busy disappeared after that night. Bassie said she had likely gone back to her family's estate, untouchable by the law. Bassie and I stayed close for a while, but the trauma of that night created a distance between us that we couldn't bridge. He eventually left Lagos, hoping to start fresh in another city, away from Busy's shadow. As for me, I spent the rest of my Detty December healing, both physically and emotionally. Christmas in Lagos would never feel the same again, but it taught me one thing: love and danger often go hand in hand, and sometimes the price is too high to pay. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting stories. See you in our next episode.